Welcome to Security Unwired, the space where we talk about tech with intent and peace with purpose. I'm Sarra Hannachi, your host and broadcaster of Security Unwired and a great believer in innovation. My only concern as a tech enthusiast, a tech researcher, and a tech consumer is that the concept of innovation is shifting elsewhere from public interest and collective good, especially in security frameworks, our focus for the upcoming episodes. This series of talks intends to look at technology, including AI, robotics, the internet, and other emerging technologies from different lenses when addressing their applications and implications in the security sector. This consists of technology in the context of warfare, armed conflict, border security, humanitarian action, and of course aid delivery. All of these settings, with or without tech-facilitated actions, well, they all have at least one thing in common, which is human life. They all affect human life and humanity in different shapes and forms. When you tune into Security Unwired, you'll be tuning into a multi-stakeholder approach of understanding the how and the why of the rising use and deployment of AI-driven and tech-facilitated weapon systems, surveillance systems, cyber attacks, arms trade, manipulation in the digital and internet spaces, and more. The security sector is broad, hence so are the tech-powered applications that come with it. So this is why it's important to look at technological innovation from all of these lenses of developers, deployers, users, advocates, and policymakers, all while maintaining an open mind when you're exploring both its positive and negative implications. So while the term innovation is usually, if not always, associated to positive outcomes and positive developments, either in the private or public sector services, this term's use and integration within the defense technologies can be a lot more ambiguous. One, because the security, quote, innovation, we still tend to find it more difficult to distinguish offense from defense in complex contexts. Two, there are not enough international treaties and global policy frameworks for specifically AI and tech use that cover the military domain, for instance, or law enforcement, for instance. And three, the R&D communities of practice and expert advisory groups are trying to keep up with the extremely fast-paced growth and development of AI and emerging technologies. So the AI race exists, but it's not just for the state actors to run this race. Like the development of defense technologies, the risks that come from applying them are also fast-paced and evolving, more proportionally than ever. And in my point of view, there are three major categories of risks to the development, use, and deployment of AI and emerging technologies in warfare and border securities and such. So these three categories have always allowed me, at least in my research and advocacy, to tailor my work and my outcomes to the risks in security unwired. Well, civil rights risks, one, are what I consider, of course, very relevant and important risks to be cautious of, but which do not have a significant life-threatening impact on humanity or the planet or the way of living, especially not on a global scale in one single unit of deployment or one single application. These risks may include the invasion of the right to privacy, for example, due to mass surveillance, cyber attacks powered by racial or ethnic discrimination based algorithms, digital manipulation of democratic processes that eventually lead to political violence or another agenda. And even there's also the misuse of AI for spreading disinformation campaigns that may or may not lead to escalating war or conflict and affecting the civil rights of a certain population group. Meanwhile, catastrophic risks, the second category in my scope. Catastrophic risks in the military domain and border control consist of much more significant risks that may lead to catastrophic outcomes to humanity. So, for example, lethal autonomous weapon systems or laws, which are at this time being used for both target identification and engagement with force, either without or with limited human control and oversight, which is controversial word and term to identify what a human oversight is, But there's also risks of autonomous cyber attacks that are automated by AI-powered robots, and the risks of using super intelligent AI systems now or in the future in military decision-making processes and decision-making systems that can determine the actual outcome of an entire population group, and not to mention the catastrophic risks of using tech-facilitated weapons that are capable of destroying entire ecosystems of life on land and life under the sea, just because the algorithm identified a military risk zone that has led to this catastrophic risk to the environment and to the ecosystem. So the list goes on of catastrophic risks, but the point is that these risks require the most urgent attention, response, and prevention measures, such as international treaties, banning laws, in an effort to reach that objective. Actually, a consortium of AI safety-focused organizations have launched a global call for AI red lines during the recent UN General Assembly of 2025, with over 300 signatories, 90 organizations, and 10 Nobel laureates recipients. So yeah, this global campaign calls for immediate red lines to prevent AI technologies from causing such catastrophic and unacceptable risks. This type of initiatives is exactly what we need to keep up with the AI race, all while prioritizing safety and humanity, and acting towards tangible resolutions, frameworks, and policies. But lastly, the third category that I consider sort of a follow-up of catastrophic risks, quite frankly, which is proliferation risks related to AI in tech and defense and security. So this means that if we don't have one, AI and tech-driven trade policies of weapon systems, global arms control frameworks for these specific emerging technologies, along with the legal accountability measures for the tech industry in procurement of AI and the rest of the technological decision support system, surveillance tools, and targeting system, then in the near future, we will probably end up in a case where we desperately need a non-proliferation treaty of AI weapon systems after having suffered the consequences. All of these risks should not be a wall or an obstacle to the AI safety and tech policy community, but rather a motive to keep up with all the developments, because it's a human responsibility to assume technology's responsibility. The security sector is a vast sector with numerous cases of AI and tech applications in these domains that affect everyone at some point in the growth AI timeline. Security Unwired will tackle these effects with different perspectives, all while promoting the positive impact that innovation can also bring to the table and to the population groups and areas in war, armed conflict, or migration. Humanitarian action has always been a glimpse of hope in the ethical and purposeful use of AI and emerging technologies, especially during difficult times that we're witnessing today. Hence, it's important to balance the positive and the negative when exploring these applications, because innovation is meant to be positive. Thank you for tuning in. This was Sarra Hannachi. Thank you for joining Security Unwired, where we address tech with intent and peace with purpose.